For as long as I can remember, I've dreamed of the perfect wedding. Not just a nice ceremony, but a full-blown, magazine-worthy event where every detail would leave people breathless. I envisioned myself in a stunning couture gown, standing under a canopy of flowers, surrounded by smiling faces. I thought about the music, the laughter, the glow of string lights as the evening turned into night. It was a vision I held onto for years, and when the time came to make it a reality, I threw myself into the planning process with everything I had. For 8 months, my life revolved around this one day. Every flower arrangement, every menu option, every fabric sample for the table settings was carefully chosen. It was exhausting but exhilarating. My fiancé, now husband, supported me, though he often joked that I should hire myself out as a wedding planner after this. The venue was a sprawling estate in the countryside, its gardens lush with greenery and roses in full bloom. The staff had assured me that it would be the most beautiful ceremony they'd hosted. "It'll look like a movie," the coordinator had said, and I clung to that image through the countless sleepless nights. But as the day approached, small cracks began to appear. And on the morning of the wedding, those cracks widened into chasms. The alarm clock buzzed at 5 a.m., but I was already awake, staring at the ceiling. My heart raced with a mix of anticipation and dread. It wasn't nervousness about marrying my fiancé. He was the one thing I was absolutely sure about. No, my anxiety stemmed from all the moving parts of the day. Would the florist deliver on time? Would the caterers remember the substitutions for guests with allergies? And, most importantly, would everyone behave? The first hiccup came in the form of my future mother-in-law. She arrived at the estate 2 hours early, unannounced, holding a box in her hands. Inside was a string of pearls. "These are for you," she said with a smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. "They've been in our family for generations. You'll wear them, won't you?" For a moment, I was touched. Then I remembered the old superstition about pearls symbolizing tears at weddings. It wasn't something I normally believed in, but on a day like this, I wasn't willing to take any chances. "Oh, thank you," I said carefully. "They're beautiful, but I've already planned my accessories to match my dress." Her face fell. "But these are special. Surely you can change your plans for something so meaningful?" I felt the tension rising. The day hadn't even begun, and I was already navigating a potential conflict. "I appreciate it truly, but I don't want to disrupt the look I've been working on for months." Her disappointment was palpable, but she nodded. As she walked away, I caught her muttering something about priorities. By the time the hair and makeup team arrived, I was already on edge. They set up their equipment in the bridal suite, a room bathed in soft, natural light from the oversized windows. My bridesmaids were bustling around, chatting excitedly, but I could barely focus. My to-do list swirled in my mind like a tornado. "Breathe," my maid of honor, Anna, whispered as she handed me a mimosa. "You're going to look stunning." I nodded, grateful for her presence. Anna had been my rock throughout the planning process, always ready with a joke or a practical solution. The getting ready photo shoot began, and for a brief moment, I let myself relax. The photographer was fantastic, capturing candid shots of me laughing with my bridesmaids and the intricate details of my dress. But then my mother-in-law appeared again, standing in the doorway with a frown. "You're sitting on the bed in your dress?" she asked, her tone sharp. "It's part of the photo shoot," I explained, trying to keep my voice calm. She shook her head, muttering something about how it was improper. I felt my patience wearing thin, but I pushed the frustration aside. This was my day, I reminded myself. One of the highlights of the day was supposed to be an outdoor photo shoot at the estate's gardens. The venue had a strict policy requiring photo IDs for entry, a detail that had been communicated to all guests. But when it was time to head outside, my mother-in-law announced that she had forgotten her ID. "I'll just skip it," she said breezily. "It's not like there's anything interesting without a drink in hand." Her comment stung, but I forced a smile. "That's okay. We'll see you at the reception." Inside, I was seething. This was the moment I had dreamed about. capturing the beauty of the venue with my closest loved ones. Her absence felt deliberate, a passive-aggressive way of expressing her disapproval of the alcohol-free policy. One of the biggest challenges in planning the wedding was finalizing the guest list. My fiancé and I had spent weeks deliberating over who to invite, balancing family expectations and our desire to include only those who truly mattered to us. We had envisioned the day as an intimate celebration surrounded by loved ones, a day where everyone present would share in our joy. Yet, as the ceremony began, I couldn't help but notice the empty chairs scattered among the rows. Each vacant seat felt like a glaring reminder of broken promises. Some guests, who had RSVP'd months ago with enthusiastic "yes" responses, simply didn't show up. There was no text, no call, no apology, just silence. As I stood at the altar, sneaking glances at the chairs, I felt a pang of disappointment. One absence stung more than others. My childhood friend Lisa. She had promised she wouldn't miss the day for the world. We'd grown up together, sharing secrets, dreams, and countless milestones. I had imagined us laughing together during the reception, reminiscing about old times, but her seat remained empty. "Did Lisa call?" I whispered to Anna during a quiet moment before the reception began. Anna shook her head. "Nothing. Maybe something came up." I nodded, trying to convince myself that there had to be a good reason. But deep down, I felt hurt. It wasn't just about the empty chair, it was about the lack of consideration. As if the no-shows weren't enough, other issues began to pile up. One of my bridesmaids, Emily, was responsible for bringing sparklers for the evening send-off. It was supposed to be a magical moment, a tunnel of sparklers lighting our path as my husband and I left the reception hand in hand. But when the time came to distribute the sparklers, Emily approached me with a sheepish look. "I'm so sorry," she said, avoiding my gaze. "I forgot them at home." I blinked, trying to process her words. "You forgot them?" She nodded, her cheeks flushing with embarrassment. "It totally slipped my mind. I was so focused on getting ready this morning." I wanted to scream. The sparklers weren't just an afterthought, they were a key part of the evening's plans. "It's fine," I said through gritted teeth, forcing a smile. "We'll figure something out." But inside, I was seething. It felt intentional, like a small act of defiance. Emily had always been a bit of a wild card, but I had trusted her to handle this one simple task. Now, that trust felt misplaced. As the sun dipped below the horizon, the reception began. The dining hall was a vision of elegance, tables adorned with ivory tablecloths, flickering candles, and floral centerpieces that mirrored the ceremony's decor. The soft hum of jazz music filled the air, creating an atmosphere of refined celebration. For a brief moment, I allowed myself to relax. The caterers had outdone themselves, presenting a menu that was both delicious and beautifully plated. Guests mingled, laughing and clinking glasses of sparkling cider. But the peace didn't last. From the beginning, my fiancé and I had agreed on having an alcohol-free wedding. It was a personal choice, one rooted in our values and a desire to create an atmosphere of genuine connection. But not everyone respected that decision. As the night wore on, I noticed a small group of guests gathered in the corner, their laughter louder and their movements less coordinated. At first, I thought nothing of it, until I spotted one of them pulling a flask from his pocket. My heart sank. Among the group was my own sister, who had assured me she understood and supported our decision. Yet here she was, sipping from a flask and passing it around to others. I approached her, trying to keep my voice calm. "Really? You couldn't go one night without this?" She shrugged, her eyes glassy. "It's a party. What's a party without a little fun?" Her words felt like a slap. This wasn't just about alcohol, it was about respect. And in that moment, I realized how little some people valued our wishes.